Erik, you have any ideas what we're doing for cold open today?
Ooh, no clue.
It's Tuesday! Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by my favorite little glazed donut, Erik Ruby here. We've got intern Logan behind the Mac. Also, the sous chef of the day, the deli man, making all of the magic happen. Do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Already got Emily in the chat today, Doug as well, saying there's not another YouTube show like PHNX.
Yeah, that's not what he's saying.
That's not what he's saying?
No, that's not. He's saying, what's up with the at names?
Oh,
that's really,
okay,
really
I got you.
funny,
I was
though.
reading it completely
That's
different.
really, really funny.
Yeah.
Wait,
So are the other PHNX shows, they don't have the...
No, only
I'm just not
PHNX.
reading it. I'm not reading
Welcome
it.
to
It's
Tuesday.
It's
and
Tuesday.
Totri.
It's Tuesday.
Second stupidest thing.
Yes, the dumbest and the stupidest. No, he's saying all other YouTube channels besides PHNX, the live shows, the names are the same.
Okay.
But for I would really like it if we could, because I hate these names.
Yeah, maybe
Hate
it's
them.
your fault.
Most things are.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone will see it later. I'm a little injured from today.
That wasn't my fault.
I think Damon is feeling a little hurt as well.
That was my fault.
Yeah, it's all
your
fault.
injury.
It's all
not
your
my
fault.
fault.
I'm gonna just start blaming you for everything that goes wrong in my life, and I feel like I would.
Is that any different than what our dynamic has been like the last 2 years?
I blame 75% of the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're bumping up to 90 or what?
100.
100?
We're going
Wow.
up. Yeah, hundo. Anything wrong that happens in my life is because of the glazed donut.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's because
Doug
of
does
you.
say we're really cool and better than other shows.
Yeah, well.
Oh,
you see?
and this is, you don't know I'm going to do this, but
Oh, great. This is
I want to
always
give
fun.
a shout out to Justin Larea, who listens to the show. Yeah.
Is that the individual that made a certain comment on the YouTube, or is that somebody else?
No, that's just somebody who
That's
actually
just-
listens.
oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
if you're
there
running,
you go.
keep going.
Yes. Don't stop. Keep going. Tie the shoes a little tighter.
Well, look down.
Yeah.
Wall behind you. That might be my favorite bit.
Oh my gosh. Look, fall camp is right around the corner, just a couple of weeks away, maybe even less than that for Arizona State. And a lot of people have been discussing, the return of several key players for the Sun Devils, offensively, defensively, some even on special teams. But I do want to spend today talking about maybe the most underrated piece of the offseason for Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State, and that has been retaining not only both coordinators, Marcus Arroyo on offense and Bryan Ward on defense, but retaining all of the key assistant coaches as well. It's been, I think it played a big role in being able to retain some of those key players that we spend so much time talking about.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at a defense and you say the only reason why a starter left is because they were out of eligibility and they went to the NFL, a big part of that is because Bryan Ward's defense is a reason why names transferred in.
Yeah.
And if Bryan Ward was then gone afterwards, I'm sure some names would transfer out. Now, maybe not. Maybe it's everybody loves Kenny so much and they have faith in the next guy that they stay, but usually that's how it goes, right? And you look at some of the names that have followed from Washington State, right, where Bryan Ward was before, and how many people did we talk to last offseason? It's like, oh, what are you most excited about being here at ASU? And they're like, oh, Bryan Ward's scheme.
Yeah.
Like the defensive scheme, I think I fit perfectly, right? And then you also look at Marcus Arroyo, and it's like, okay, the only finalist for the Broyles Award who was an offensive coordinator, de facto saying that
Best
he was
OC
the
in the
best
country.
offensive coordinator in the country. And you locked up both of those guys before the Kansas State game,
Yeah.
right? So before you even win on this miraculous end of season run, right? That ended with a college football playoff appearance, one of the best games in college football history, a Big 12 championship, like putting this team back on the map. Before all of that, you recognized what you had here at ASU, at least the athletic department did, and you locked up the two main coordinators. And we'll talk about the rest of the coaches later today, but it's like to go through and to say, in this era of college football, you can't promise a lot.
Yeah.
But we promise you that if you are committing to these coaches are most likely going to be here. We're promising you that if you were on this team last year and you come back, you're playing under the same defensive and offensive coordinator. And at the end of the day, this head coach is going to be here for when your kids want to commit to ASU as well. Like, that's something that you can't really preach at a lot of other places. And will eventually somebody leave? Likely, yes. Like, it's going to happen eventually. But the turnover rate, in the same way we talk about the roster, where it's, some guys are going to transfer out, some guys are going to transfer in, but the percentage that you lose and the amount of turnover you have, I think on the coaching side is going to mimic what we saw on the player side and be vastly below the average for the rest of college football.
Yeah, being able to retain one of the best OCs and DCs in the country at the same time before the season's even over is just, I mean, you can't even measure how important that is to being able to get guys like a Sam Levitt and Xavier Alford, a Jordan Tyson, a CJ Fight to come back. And you brought up an interesting point of like getting these guys to stay here and the importance of getting guys to transfer in, right? Because you have these systems in place. Like if I'm somebody that watched Arizona State football last year, let's take Kanye Udo, for example, right? He played in a much different offense at Army. He sees what Cam Scadaboo is able to do. Just, I mean, in the 1 year that Marcus Arroyo was the OC so far at ASU, that's exciting, right? I want to play in that offense. I want to play at Arizona State. But let's say he goes on a visit to ASU and Marcus Arroyo's not here. Marcus Arroyo decides to take a head coaching job somewhere else.
Or he commits to Arizona State, and then 2 weeks later, Marcus Arroyo is the head coach at X university.
So what does that do to that relationship immediately for Kanye and ASU? Does he ultimately not come to ASU? The same could be said about Jaron Hamilton, right? Or a Jalen Moss. And then defensively, what about a guy like a Joshua Shanklin or a Nyland Green or a Boogie Wilson, right? Like, it's the same thing where, yes, as Arizona State continues to have long-term consistent success, people are going to want to play here. Yeah. But that is only part of the battle, right? People want to play in these systems where they see people be super, super successful. And yes, Marcus Arroyo and Bryan Ward probably will not be here throughout the length of their coaching careers, right? But kind of goes back to what we had talked about a couple of weeks ago when we briefly touched on this topic.
Yeah.
That like, we assume there's a natural progression in college sports, or I guess just sports in general, where it's like, okay, if you're a really good wide receiver coach, you want to be an OC one day, so you're going to chase that. And then if you're a really good OC, then one day you're going to want to be a head coach. But maybe that's not the case, right? Like, that is something that does go into play here. Now, Marcus Arroyo has been a head coach in the past. He's had NFL experience. What is his natural path after Arizona State? Does he want to go be a head coach at a school again? Does he want to be an OC at maybe for a team in a different conference? Does he want to get back to the NFL?
Right.
And then the same thing kind of goes for Bryan Ward, right? Bryan Ward's been a DC for the majority of his, of like the recent coaching history, right? He had the DC spot at Washington State. I believe he was a DC at Syracuse as well. Like, he's been a defensive coordinator, and it feels like it's just been jump after jump after jump.
Right.
So, like, is this somebody in Bryan Ward that ultimately one day wants to be a head coach? Or has he been looking for the right spot to be a defensive coordinator his entire coaching career?
I mean, he's been a defensive coordinator since he was at Drake in 2011. He's
14
been at Drake,
years.
Western Illinois, Bowling Green, Syracuse, Nevada, Washington State, Arizona State. All of his duties there were DC.
So
he was an interim head coach for Bowling Green.
I bet you he would be the interim head coach here if something happened.
You don't think it'd be Arroyo?
No, Ward was here. He was a part of the initial staff, so that makes me feel like Bryan Ward would.
I think it's an interesting conversation, probably like a co-head coach thing or whatever. But here's the thing with that, right? You don't know what these guys want. And a majority of the time, and I think it's likely to say that they're not going to be satisfied being coordinators forever, because usually that's just how it goes for really good coordinators. Yeah. You want to take that leap. But why? Why do they want to take that leap? A majority of the time, it's because they feel like they can do more, or that they're not valued at their current spot.
Or they're literally not getting paid enough.
Or they're not getting paid enough. If you pay them enough, you have them live in a place that they love, you give them credit, which Kenny is maybe the best head coach in the country at giving everybody else the credit, including his players, his assistant coaches, his staff, whatever it is.
He doesn't take like any
He
credit.
doesn't take any credit whatsoever. So you give them the credit, you give them the money, and then you give them the importance, right? If you're taking Marcus Arroyo and saying, I'm Kenny Dillingham, and I'm calling the shots. This is my offense. You're here to help me. But Kenny wants, it's like, okay, this is your offense.
Not even, it's ours, right?
Like,
this is a collective.
It's ours, but you're going to call plays.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be here, and if I disagree or I love what you're doing, I'm going to say something because I am the head coach. But Marcus Arroyo, the offensive play calling duties, running this offense, like I'm entrusting that to you. I'm putting that on you, right? It's the same thing with Bryan Ward. Like defensive play calling, like running this unit, like that's on you. And I think you can go down the line in some of the other coaches that we'll talk about later today. And the reason why some of them are more likely to stay at lower level positions, because like you mentioned, we look at the coordinators now. Well, what's going to happen if those coordinators stick around for the next 5 years and all the other ones underneath them, Hines Ward, right? Sean Aguano, like how many of those guys then want to be bumped up? But if they feel important, and they feel like what they're doing is being recognized and they're getting paid to do it and they love the spot, you're going to be more likely to not go out and seek another opportunity. Now, if another opportunity comes calling and it's life-changing money and it's a life-changing promotion, how many of us would say no?
Yeah.
Not many, right? But you're more likely to fend off the lower level offers when usually if you're a coordinator and a decent head coaching job calls up, like Texas Tech's OC just left to become the head coach at some lower level like university, right? Going from Big 12
Which I'm
to
sure
not
those
Power
opportunities
5.
were there for both these guys.
Oh, if you don't think people were knocking it, that's why ASU signed them and locked them up in the middle of the season, because even before this miraculous run at the end, people knew with this turnaround, with the amount of eyes on this program, with how good these players have been, if I was another program, I would come knocking.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's a huge, huge, like, pat on the back to Arizona State as a program, right? To be able to sport coaches who are being, like, poached or at least attempting to be poached by other schools.
No, yeah, you're 100% right. Somebody brings up in the chat about the whole Todd Graham situation, where part of the issue as to why, maybe fans think he was let go is because they couldn't retain coordinators that were high level guys, right? And I think and this isn't necessarily a total knock on Todd Graham here, because there were some coaches that ultimately they needed to leave, I think, to ultimately like reach their full potential. But you look at some of the coordinators that were in place, like under Todd Graham.
His coaching tree is insane.
Well, I mean, you had Kenny as a GA, right? You had Dan Lanning here. Dan Lanning, obviously now the coach at Oregon. You had Mike Norvell, who went on to Memphis, and now he's the head coach at Florida State. You had Billy Napier, who was an OC here, and then now he's a head coach at Florida.
I mean, can we just take a second? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's so crazy.
You even had Rob Sale. Rob Sale was the O-line coach here, and he's been with Billy Napier the entire time, and now he's the OC at Florida with Billy, right? So, like, you've had all of these different coordinators that have gone on to have, like, major success. We just listed 4 guys right there that are all head coaches at the Division I level at major schools.
Has an argument to be the best coach in college football.
Yeah, one of them.
Like he's at least in the argument. He's at least in the conversation, especially for like these younger head coaches. Yeah. And he was the youngest until Kenny came around. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's a crazy coaching tree.
It is.
That's a crazy coaching tree. And we saw last season, right before the season starts, Rashad Samples leaves to go to Oregon.
Be the running back coach there.
And then what do? You go and get Hines Ward. Right? So.
Well, that's right. Like that's the next natural progression of it is Kenny is going to be judged off of team success, players, whatever. He's going to be judged off being able to keep coordinators. He's going to be judged off of when it's time to move on from coordinators and assistant coaches. And then finally, he's going to be judged on when you do move on from a coach, or if a coach leaves you, how do you replace them?
Sure.
Right. And we've seen that now 2 out of 2 times where it feels like it's been, I don't know if I'll say it's definitely been an upgrade one of the times, but the other time it feels like it was a very natural move. I think it's hard to go from like Rashad Samples to Hines Ward and then call that like an immediate upgrade. It's an upgrade in a sense.
Really, I mean, in name.
Yes. In name, yes. In notoriety,
and as far
absolutely.
as like how the room has done since Hines Ward has taken over, You did not you did not throughout last season be like, damn, they missed Rashawn Samples, right?
No.
And then as far as recruiting goes, like, not like, oh, damn, they missed Rashawn Samples.
No, but Rashad's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal assistant coach.
Yeah, it's nothing against him. It's just like, I think they picked a good replacement and one that has a different type of power when it comes to recruiting and maybe doesn't have the same type of inroads that Rashad Sample had, especially back home where he was from. But like, he's Hines Ward.
Yeah.
Right. So it's in
different.
itself is a trump card. And just like for some like background on what I said earlier with Texas Tech, Zach Kitley, who was the offensive coordinator, one of the most potent offenses in the country last year with Texas Tech. I mean, that was their staple. Left to become the head coach at Florida Atlantic University.
FAU, baby.
But that's the thing is, if I'm Marcus Arroyo, and that's the type of calls that I'm getting, and I'm getting paid way better than coordinator money at ASU, and my family loves it, and I'm respected, and we have an opportunity to win something here. I've been a head coach.
Yeah.
I've done that, right? If Bryan Ward is getting calls from Florida Atlantic University, and he's like, is that worth it? I don't know. There will get to a point where if a certain school comes knocking, they're going to be able to offer a sum of money that might
potentially
overcome that. But at the end of the day, you never know.
Yeah.
If you keep taking care of them and they like where they're at. And I also think a big part of why everybody stayed as well, and maybe this changes as time goes on, is like the feeling of unfinished business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's 100% something that goes into this, right? That's some of the argument for why some of the players came back this year as opposed to going to the league, right? Is because there was that unfinished business. Let's go ahead. Let's run it back for another Big 12 championship, and let's see what we could do in the CFP this year in 2025. I am really, really interested to see what takes place with Marcus Arroyo after this season. I know that we had David in the chat talking about that he feels like Sam is going to leave, and Sam and Marcus are going to leave kind of at the same time, which again, the overwhelming or overarching opinion, I guess, that Sam is going to leave after this season to go to the NFL. Same with Jordan Tyson, same with Xavier Alford, some of these other players. So is that the case? Is it where Sam's gone, Jordan's gone, then Marcus is presented with an opportunity to go be a head coach somewhere? Is he presented an opportunity to go be an OC at like an SEC school? Or is he presented an opportunity to go back to the NFL, right? In some sort of capacity. And he'll have probably his pick of the litter, assuming Arizona State has a really, really good season in 2025. I think ultimately coming back, like, you're betting on yourself, right? Because if you have a down year now as a team, the same way that it goes for players, it's the same result for coaches.
Sure.
Right? So if this offense looks like it takes 2-3 steps back and the defense looks like it takes 2-3 steps back, the offers certainly are not going to be as elite as maybe they were before.
And it might not be as tantalizing to stay.
Yeah. No, that's 100% fair. So I think, especially as it relates to Marcus Arroyo, that is the name and the coordinator to watch going into next season, assuming this team has a really good year. I feel pretty good that Bryan Ward is going to be here for the long haul. Again, just based off of the fact that, like you said, he's been a DC for the last 14 years of his career, where it feels like it's just kind of been like looking for a spot where he enjoys being, where his family enjoys being, and he can win as a defensive guy there. This feels like the spot for him. But this coaching staff goes far beyond Marcus Arroyo and Bryan Ward. We're going to talk about the offensive and defensive position coaches and their future at Arizona State on the other side of this quick break. I've got a Branded Bills hat. Rubus has a Branded Bills hat on, at least right now. I know you own, like 12 to 15 Branded Bills caps?
My entire closet is overflowing with Branded Bills hats.
I mean,
send help.
Yours should be too, in all honesty. Look, It's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. I was golfing this past weekend. I'm going to be golfing again this weekend. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be wearing a Branded Bills hat this weekend. I was wearing one last weekend because they're breathable. These are not the type of hats that you go out, you wear for 4 or 5 hours in the sun when you're sweating, and you just come back and the hat is just gross. Like your head can actually breathe in these hats. Not to mention they are super stylish, they're super affordable, and Branded Bills has you covered with just about anything that you need when it comes to things on your head. Snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees. They've got you covered with performance and style. Of course, they've got partnerships with several universities, including Arizona State, U of A as well, not to mention they're also a partner with your Phoenix Suns. Make sure you head to BrandonBills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order.
Listen, save some money, save some time, save some energy in more ways than one with APS. I love my smart thermostat.
You do. You talk about it every day.
I have fallen more in love with my smart thermostat as we've been, working with APS. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Because now it's like, at first I had to remind myself that I could adjust my thermostat from anywhere, and that when I adjust my thermostat, I could save 2 to 3% of my cooling costs and whatnot. And now it's just it's natural to me. It's like, oh, I don't need to go to my thermostat. I just got my phone.
You don't even got to move.
No, you don't have to move at all. And APS customers, you can find instant rebates, discounts, special offers on smart thermostats, energy efficient appliances, and more at marketplace.aps.com. And right now, APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. And if you already have a smart thermostat at home, see if it's eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards plus free installs available at marketplace.aps.com. Must be an APS customer, pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information.
Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button.
And join us on Saturday. At Chicken N Pickle, July 26th at 10 a.m. $35 for an individual, $70 for a team. We're excited to put together our annual pickleball tournament over on the west side for diehards of all skill levels, from beginners to everyday pickleball players. And speaking of diehards, if you are a diehard, you get a discount as well. Part of the proceeds from the event will go to support Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Arizona. We've got prizes, food, drink specials, and more. And of course, we'll be playing indoors, avoiding that valley heat. 10 a.m. Saturday. Be there or be square.
Do it. You got a secret admirer in the chat.
I don't think it's so secret.
You don't think so?
No.
No, it's just an admirer.
It's my wife, and I love her so much.
There you go.
I would hope she admires. I would hope she admires
You see that?
me.
You see that?
And I just grab it,
slam it home.
windmill.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's all I can
Thank you.
say.
And thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I want to also say thank you to Kenny Dillingham for keeping all of the assistant coaches,
Thank God.
especially on the offensive side of the ball. Jason Mohns as the tight end coach, Hines Ward for the wideouts. You got Saga on the O-line, and then Sean Aguano in the backfield. Where do you want to start here? Because all four of these guys, I think, have made such a ridiculous impact in a positive way for Arizona State since they arrived on campus. And Erik, 3 of the 4 of them were here for that first 3-9 season, opted to come back and run it back. And it definitely feels like it was the right decision, not only for the program, but also for each one of those guys.
Well, I feel like he might be on the bottom 2 is most likely to get a promotion sooner rather than later.
Bottom 2.
I kind of want to start with Sean Aguano. I
Okay.
think if I'm ranking it, I think Jason Mohns is the most likely for a promotion, or leaving to take a higher paying job, higher ranking job, whatever. And then Hines Ward, because he's been very vocal about wanting to move up in the coaching ranks. Then I'd put Sean Aguano and Saga near the bottom. And I think all 4 are perfectly capable and qualified of getting promotions.
Yeah.
Right. But that's just how I break down those 4. I think when you talk about hey, when you're recruiting Kanye Udo and you're saying we have Marcus Arroyo still, we also have Sean Aguano, who is predated the Kenny Dillingham era, and with the legacy of running backs at Arizona State and how good they've been even before him. But with him, if I'm a running back, I'm looking beyond Cam Scatterbo. What can you offer me beyond that? And you're bringing me consistency from the pre-Kenny Dillingham era. And so I think that's really important when you look at him.
Home run after home run after home run.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
It's crazy, the running back tree that you've got at ASU just since Sean Aguano's been here. And it feels like whether it's getting them at the recruiting level or getting them from the transfer portal, he's always putting in work. I mean, Kyson Brown, right? Kyson Brown was a guy that they got in Kenny's first recruiting class. Mm-hmm. You talk about a guy in Kanye Udo that I think a lot of people are excited to see off the heels of getting Cam Scatterbo from Sac State, finding a gem there. Kid that only had, 2-3 offers as a 0-star coming out of high school.
One real offer. William and Mary did not know ball. He said that it was not a real offer.
Which is crazy.
I remember asking him, it was oh man, so William and Mary, what did they say? He's
really.
No, they didn't really give me an offer.
And then before that, I mean, you added Xavier Valade from Wyoming. He had a monster 1 year, which kind of gets lost
under
in the
really
whole
bad
thing,
circumstances. performances.
Rashad White, like all of these guys that have been here since Sean Aguano got here have either gone on to the league, had league aspirations, turned in phenomenal seasons. Like the running back position has never been this talented at Arizona State over a 5 to 6 year stretch. And it's time to give Sean Aguano the credit that he deserves when it comes to building that room.
Yeah, and I've said this. I'm so glad, obviously, that Kenny was hired for the job and led the job. When Sean Aguano was the interim, I was very, very on board with, let's just give him the job.
Yeah.
Like, just make him the head coach. I think that this is a guy who wants to stay home. Like, you talk about family and loving like the state of Arizona and Arizona football, and you talk about what he did at a high school level in Chandler as well, which is like was a dominant program when he was there, sent multiple players to the next level, and then they went on to the next level beyond that. You know, when you look at his pedigree in the state of Arizona, it's really impressive. And when you talk about activating the Valley and connecting to these high school coaches, the fact that we are talking about former Arizona high school coaches, and we'll talk about Jason Mohns here in a second, who everything I just said about Sean Aguano also applies to Jason Mohns, if not more so. You know, it's so impressive that you can go down to position coaches and be like, yeah, this is a multiple-time state champion. Hey, this is also multiple times.
And now they're all Big 12 champions.
This is a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, which is great.
Right. Like I don't and the thing is, I don't know as much about Saga from before he was here, but it's like, man, this offensive line unit has gone through some crap as far as injuries go, and then as soon as they had a relatively healthy season, was good enough to power Cam Scatterbo.
Surpassed all the expectations.
Yeah, and there is no Cam Scatterbo season. There is no Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt season without that offensive line superseding expectations, right? So we can go from Aguano to Mohns, because I think out of all these coaches, like I feel like Sean Aguano is an ASU lifer.
Yeah.
I think out of everybody that we talk about today, like Jason Mohns feels like an ASU lifer, but I also like they're also young still. Right.
Some of you guys still have so much coaching to go. I think Sean Aguano's a lifer unless like maybe Hawaii comes calling with a head coaching job.
The Hawaii head coach would be pretty special. For him.
I don't see any other like jobs immediately that are like, I don't think he'd leave ASU to go be the head coach at like NAU. Like it doesn't feel like the right move.
I don't think any of these guys are leaving for like slight promotions. Right.
Yeah.
For schools like NAU. And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to NAU, but like that's just the position that ASU is in right now. I'm trying to be disrespectful
to NAU.
Oh, yeah. Save it for week 1.
Yeah, I got
We're going to get really disrespectful.
That's fine. That's totally, I mean, I don't even know how disrespectful you can get to NAU because it's not like they garner a lot of respect anyways when it comes to football. So it's like,
what do they garner respect?
Cutting trees down. Yeah, they're big in the lumber community.
Big in the lumber community.
Yeah, 100%. Jason Mohns at the tight end coaching spot. This is a guy that it feels like every year we talk about this room improving, right?
Yeah,
when he first got here, Messiah Swinson, Bryce Pierre, Jalen Conyers, and now you look at what this team was last year, right? And you have, I'm totally blanking. You have Shaman, Cameron Harpool, the baby Rhino, you got like all those guys, and Shaman goes and he has a phenomenal season to where he's a second team all Big 12 level tight end. And then you go into this year and you're like, okay, we bring Shaman back. We add an SEC tight end and Kamari Anderson. But really when we talk about Jason Mohns, we're talking about what he's done in recruiting over the last several years, being able to get some highly, highly ranked and I guess recruited tight ends by other universities. You talk about AJ Ia, who everyone's excited to see, Jaden Fortier, who I still think there's a lot of hope and potential for what he could be in a Sun Devil uniform. And then just landing Landon Mary as well at the tight end spot. Like he is building a consistent pipeline of tight ends at Arizona State. I think the way that Sean Aguano did and has done at the running back spot. I
was just about to do that parallel. Right, because once you get the ball rolling on that, if you have consistency there from a coaching side, now it's like, hey, look at what we can do for you.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as weird as it sounds, like that's what recruiting is, right? What can we do for you? Because everybody knows, like, yeah, we're going to bring you in here. You're going to play for us. Like, you're going to be playing football for us. Like, we know what you can bring or what we are asking you to bring. But how are we different from everybody else?
Yeah.
How are we bringing something? And if Jason Mohns is sitting in these kids' living rooms 2 years ago and starting to recruit them and saying, I'll be there. Like, you're talking to me. I'm your point of contact. And then a year goes by, 2 years go by, and Jason Mohns is the head coach at NAU.
Yeah. Gosh, gross.
You're not going to trust Jason Mohns as much. Fair or not. Again, taking a promotion and a job is not, especially in football, which is such
promotion,
which is such like a tough industry to be in, right?
Yeah.
Like, becoming a head coach in football is one of the most difficult jobs you could do in the world.
It's also one of the most challenging jobs to have,
right?
Especially in today's day and age of college sports.
Which is also maybe a reason why some of these guys don't want to take that next bump up, because they're already having to balance so much between recruiting and NIL and whatnot.
And retaining, right? Re-recruiting your own players.
Well, that's why we had ASU so high in our offseason rankings yesterday, is because they retained it. And I'm sure, like, this is not a name that people have been talking about a ton when it comes to this. I'm sure schools were calling for Shimon.
Yeah.
Like, I am sure that he probably got some pretty big offers to go to some pretty big schools.
Every starter on this roster probably got a call.
100%. And if you don't think that sometimes the tiebreaker between, money and going to another school and staying is down to the positional coach, like, again, want to give Kenny Dillingham the credit in the world. But I think part of the credit is he's just allowed his staff and he's allowed his team to become like this self-governing body almost. Like, he says the players establishes the culture. He says it. And then they establish it, right? It's the same thing for the coaches. Like, he'll set the standard. He'll make sure you're upholding the standard. He's very hands-on, but also at the same time, like, he's letting you cook.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm Shimon Mateer, as much as I'd say I want to commit to Arizona State and everybody's here is like, oh, I want to be here. If I'm getting offered a ton of money and I'm looking at it, it's like, man, like, I just want to stay with Jason Mohns. I just want Jason Mohns to coach me, because that's a head coach caliber coach focusing on my position. And then I also have another head coach caliber coach as an offensive coordinator. And then we have a head coach caliber head coach.
Yeah.
Right. Who is young and presumably still getting better at his job as well. Like, that's something that when you're trying to do these tiebreakers of retaining people, and we know that, like, let's not call Arizona State broke. They're not broke, but they don't have Oregon money.
No.
They don't have Bama money. They don't have blue blood Ohio State, Penn State money to deal with. And I'm sure some of those schools were calling.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were offering blue blood money to what are blue blood players that Arizona State has. And you got to be a little blind if you don't think that the people here and the assistant
100%.
Coaches here are a reason why that money matters a whole lot less when it gets offered.
I'm really interested to see what happens with Jason Mohns after this season, because there are a lot of people that think, again, the natural progression for him is going to be offensive coordinator somewhere. Like, if Marcus does ultimately leave for another position, go back to the league, whatever, when Sam does, which I could see, I think we've seen it in the past, like, when you have historic seasons in college with quarterbacks, there are NFL teams that want to bring that marriage to life at the next level, right? So, like, do we see a scenario where Sam balls out, best quarterback in the country, and he's, Heisman finalist, Heisman winner, and there's a team that is like, you know what, let's go draft Sam Leavitt, and let's go hire Marcus Arroyo to be our quarterbacks and offensive coordinator, right? Quarterback coach. I could certainly see that being a situation. If that ultimately is the situation, I think Kenny Dillingham is now put in a very, very interesting position where it's like, do I promote from within and say, okay, let's have Jason Mohns now be the offensive coordinator. Let's have Hines Ward be the offensive coordinator. Let's have Sean Aguano be the offensive coordinator. Or does he do what he's already done and then go find somebody
like a Hines Ward,
Ward that was maybe on the outside, right? And I think there are pros and cons to both of those situations, but I think that will put Kenny Dillingham in an interesting situation when that time ultimately does come. If it does.
And I think it's an interesting situation even if it doesn't, right? Let's say a year from now, 2 years from now, right? Like, Marcus Arroyo's still here.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe Jason Mohns right now doesn't care about being an offensive coordinator. Maybe 2 years from now he wants to.
Yeah.
Right? Like, maybe you're satisfied. Like, things change, right? Like, what you want is different, right? And I don't even think, like, honestly, I don't even think, like, monetary stuff is coming down to this. I think it's just like these are all sickos.
Yeah.
These are all guys who want
They're psychos and sickos.
Psychos and sickos unite. That's right. I it's so funny because like if people like watch both shows and there's like a reference,
then
to
they
that,
get
it's
it.
like yesterday Shane brought up the glazed donut nickname on the show, and so it's like for those that watch both, there must be like the Leo DiCaprio kind of meme. It's like,
I get it. Really quick, keep going. Don't stop running.
Don't stop running.
You got this.
You got this.
I mean, everything you want is on the other side of hard. Just
what's one more set?
Head down, go.
What's one more set?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. It's
You're
nothing
not
to
gonna
a psycho or a sicko.
5 more pounds. That's it.
Come on. Go
on.
10, maybe 25. Why not?
I don't think they could do it.
Yeah.
Prove us wrong.
Keep going. Prove Erik wrong. Erik doesn't believe in you.
I don't believe in you.
Okay, Hines Ward. You want to get into Hines Ward?
Hines Ward, Saga, like, and then there's the defensive guys like that we haven't talked about.
We got a ton, man.
As well. I mean, I think again, it's a great conversation to have, but I think it's an even better conversation to have on the other side of this break. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the computer. Sorry, intern Logan. My bad. How you doing, Totri? Hey, keep going. Don't stop.
Are you talking to Logan or are you
Don't
talking to
stop
believing in Mountain America Credit Union?
Because you're saving money. Mountain America Credit Union committed to helping their more than 1 million members through 100 branches throughout the West. And you can get double the amount of points on rewards credit card purchases now through July 31st. Use your Mountain America rewards card and watch the points pile up. It's perfect for gas, groceries, travel, home projects, and all other purchases.
The essentials.
Yes, I mean, you got to spend money, and you might have missed out on the last month plus of getting double points, but I know you're still going to be spending money over the next couple of days until the end of July, and you have an easy way to stretch your dollar with Mountain America Credit Union. Redeem your double points for rewards like travel rebates, gift cards, and event tickets. It is a limited time only, Totri. So stop dilly-dallying. Finish that set, do a couple more miles while you're running, and get on over to Mountain America Credit Union. Get details at macu.com/double. Loans are on approved credit. Offers can change or be withdrawn at any time. It's a limited time offer. Terms and conditions, well, they do apply.
Stretch that dollar and invest it into your flooring. So who are you going to call when you need new floors in your apartment, your townhouse, or your home? No, you're not going to call Ghostbusters. You are going to call Empire Today, because just like your favorite team needs a home court, they need a home field. Your home needs a home floor advantage. In Empire Today, well, they're going to bring that vision to life. We tell you all about those bad, awful experiences at big box stores where you have to go in, you're there for hours, nobody can help you, and when you do get home, you got to put the flooring in yourself. That's not the case when it comes to Empire Today, because they live and breathe flooring. You are going to have a flooring expert with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game, not to mention their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHNX. Yes, you heard it right. No typo, no misread.
It's a lot of money.
A $350 discount with code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire Today/PHNX for full details. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Doug asking, when did Marcus coach in the league and where? Ruby brings it up. 2014-2015 season in the NFL as an interim offensive coordinator and play caller for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Like the way you said that.
Yeah. You want to talk about Hines Ward?
We could talk about Hines Ward. Somebody else with a lot of experience in the
NFL.
Yeah, Super Bowl MVP.
Maybe a little bit more experience in the NFL.
Future Hall of Famer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, Hines Ward, he was very successful, I feel like, in his first year as a wide receiver coach.
Yes.
They turned somebody in Jordan Tyson who, again, I think he had it all in himself to be able to do this. He's fully capable of doing it. But I think you do got to give some love to Hines Ward for in his very first year as a wide receivers coach at the college level, at this level at ASU. We're talking about now his number one wide receiver in that room is potentially Effa Blintikoff, which goes to the best wide receiver in college football. I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, and I also think it's a coincidence that wide receiver room also feels really deep right now, too, with the additions of Jaron Hamilton, the addition of Jalen Moss, the retention of a Malik McLean, who I'm sure probably also got offers to go
even
knocking
some of the younger guys that didn't play, right?
Even some of the younger guys, too. I mean, that wide receiver room has an argument for one of the deepest and one of the most top-heavy rooms all at one time.
Easily.
which is impressive. And I also think that with Hines Ward, like sometimes you think about former NFL players or guys who are that successful on that stage, and it's like, oh, they're just kind of doing this for fun. Right, like, I'm bored.
Yeah, they're bored. They need something to do.
I don't want to be around football. Obviously, I can't play anymore.
Hines Ward doesn't seem bored.
Hines Ward is maybe one of the more active coaches at practice, one of the more vocal coaches, and he's also been pretty vocal about.
He's fiery, dude, as a coach,
and he's been pretty vocal about wanting to also like move up in the coaching ranks, and has talked about how one day like he doesn't just want to be a wide receiver coach, right? So out of all the names we talked about today, who do I think is most likely to probably leave first? I could see a Hines Ward. Now, not like disrespect, and again, like grading on a curve, because most often, like you would have other coaches that would have left after last season.
Yeah.
Right? So with him, I think that if Jordan Tyson has the year that we expect him to have, Jaron Hamilton shocks the world, and Jalen Moss is really good. If I'm another school, and I'm also seeing how he's recruiting too, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to offer Hines Ward something.
And I don't think, it's an interesting like conversation to have when it comes to Hines Ward, because I don't think Hines Ward would necessarily leave for, like, let's say Ohio State offers him the OC job or the wide receiver coach job. I don't think he takes that job.
You don't think so?
I think Hines Ward wants to get back to the NFL. I think he wants to be a wide receiver coach or an OC or a head coach in the NFL, which I think is certainly possible.
But maybe there's a step in between there.
There could be. There absolutely could be.
And that's the thing is, like, I know we just spent all this time talking about how ASU is so much better at retaining coaches and blah, 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 blah. That's what we sound like, by the way. Blah, 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 blah. If Ohio State comes calling and says, we want to make you the offensive coordinator,
I don't think that happens.
I don't think it happens, but you just brought it up.
No, I don't think he takes that job.
I think he takes.
Genuinely, I don't think. And I'm going to throw out a scenario here that is. I think there's like a 2% chance of this happening, but a 2% chance is a 2% chance.
What percentage chance did ASU have making the college football playoffs last year?
Yeah,
less than 2.
I guess that's totally fair. There is a team in the NFL that I think there are a lot of fans that are ready for a new quarterback. And you've got Aaron Rodgers, who's got 1 year, a 1 year deal left, whatever. And then he's done. If Pittsburgh has a horrible season this year, which I don't think that it's a stretch that they don't meet expectations, right? This is a team that's never been high enough. They've never been bad enough to actually go get a quarterback. If they have a down year, I could 100% see that team parting ways with Mike Tomlin, saying, okay, it's time for a new era of Pittsburgh Steelers football. And they invest in a new quarterback by the name of Sam Levitt. And they're looking for somebody to go run the show in Pittsburgh. Why not replicate the success that D'Amico Ryans has had in Houston as a former player? Maybe not a head coach, but maybe. There's 100% a world where they're like, you know what? Let's bring in a legend in Hines Ward who did it in Pittsburgh. He's worked with Sam. Let's go draft Sam at quarterback. Or hell, maybe they make him an OC or a wide receiver coach, whatever. But I could 1,000% see that situation occurring if things go haywire in Pittsburgh.
I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers offer him the head coaching job. He's signing.
He's gone. He's gone.
And I don't blame him. And I don't blame him at all. At all. One problem with your plan, though.
Tell me.
That would mean that Mike Tomlin has to be under 500.
Yeah.
Because that
Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback.
That's true. For how long, though? How many weeks?
4 games.
Because then it's Russell Wilson time.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's better, that's worse.
I think it's slightly better.
Slightly? Maybe?
It's slightly better.
Maybe.
Look, that's what you get on PHNX Sun Devils. Rodgers versus Wilson talk in 2025.
Yeah, before Sam Levitt and Hines Ward come take the show.
I mean, I guess, honestly, when I imagine, when Cam was obviously getting drafted and like leading up to the draft, it'd be like, what team is going to take him? And you go off of fit and blah, blah, blah.
Sam Levitt feels like he could be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
You close your eyes, you imagine yourself like, what jersey would Cam Scadaboo wear? Yeah. And when I close my eyes and imagine what NFL jersey Sam Levitt would wear, like Pittsburgh is up there.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's definitely up there.
100,000%. And I think that would be fun.
I think it'd be fun too,
especially in that division. Yeah. But that's
totally off. When you were saying there's a team that wants like a new coordinator or whatever, they said like new quarterback. I was like thinking like Cardinals, because Drew Petzing is not the most loved guy in Arizona. I think Hines Ward, out of all the coaches we'll talk about today, probably the most likely to leave for like a high level recognized job. And that's not a bad thing. Like that's how this works. The fact that we're this deep into it and we're talking about Hines Ward is the guy that most likely is going to set himself up for that goes to show that like you got through the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, the running backs coach, the tight ends coach, the offensive line coach. We still have all the defensive coaches that we did talk about as well, like Bryan Carrington and AJ Cooper and Deron Reynolds, right? Like all of that. To now say 45 minutes in that a former Super Bowl MVP in his first year being this coach who's coached one hell of a room, and has very much been bought in here as well. Yeah. It has not been like, Hines Ward is using Arizona State
ASU stuff every day
as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Like, again, at the end of the day, we might be wrong. This dude might love it here and just stay.
I really hate the narrative sometimes of like stepping stones when it comes to coaches and players, because like if it ultimately works out for Hines Ward and he used ASU as a stepping stone, ASU got better because of it.
It'd rather be than what Herm Edwards did as a stepping stone, which is continually smash the stone into the ground over and over again.
He thought he was taking a step up, and then he tripped and went right back to where he was.
Yeah, and brought ASU down with him.
Literally, he
took
I hate the exact same step.
God,
Herman, no middle name. Edwards.
Does he have no middle name?
I don't think he has a middle name. Didn't we do this? We did this, or is it an L?
No, it's something.
Herman L. Edwards. You gave him the L nickname?
Herman Lee Edwards.
Oh, yeah. No, it is L. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I think I did it as a joke.
And then it was like a real thing. Yeah. HLE. There you go.
Yeah. You just got to scroll a little bit to get to his ASU.
We're good. We don't need to get into Herm Edwards today.
David Rodish with just the Lee off the dome.
There you go. Let's talk about Saga in the offensive line real quick, because we've given a lot of credit and grace to Sean Aguano and Jason Mohns for their ability to recruit at this position.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about Coach Saga, the same way we talk about this offensive line, where it's like, wow, it kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like Leaf had a really strong year. You talk about Ben Coleman being able to transition now from guard to center. Well, part of the reason he's able to do that now is because he's got a position coach in Saga that ultimately, like, he's confident in. And Saga's confident in his players.
And the players love him.
All the players, not just the O-line, right? Like this is players all along the offense and defense that just love Coach Saga. You talk about somebody who's a vocal coach. He's somebody that is out there. I would say if we did like rankings of that.
Maybe that's next week's tier.
He's 1-1. He is absolutely 1-1 when it comes to that.
And that's the thing, man. Like, when you're, again, 50 minutes into this and we're talking about the most vocal coach who coached one hell of a job last year, has recruited well. And I think this year will be a really big year for him.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be more eyes on this offensive line. There's going to be more eyes on these running backs and what they can do and Sam. And at a certain point, like, the Texas game, they've found their footing. But Sam was also running for his life.
Yeah.
For a lot of that as well. And so they know that they have to be better for this team to be better. Mm-hmm. And they lost their best player on the offensive line in Lee Fautanu. Now, Ben Coleman, I think, is ready to step into that role. And hearing him break down how he changed his snaps and the different types of snaps, it's like, okay, that guy's ready to be in that role. And I think that this offensive line, especially if Jalen Clem can get back to the way that he was before, I think this offensive line can be better than it was last year. But a lot of that stems from him. Yeah. And how often do you hear, obviously, like with football, it's a family and everybody has to be together, and a connected team is a dangerous team. Shout out Torey Lovello. An offensive line, you got to be like family.
Yeah.
Like maybe out of all the position rooms, like that's the one that you have to work together.
You all got to be on
most.
The same page.
The same page. You got to be thinking the same thing, spending time together outside of it, and you've got to feel like a family. And that family's got to have a father.
Yeah.
And that father is Saga. That one got you, huh?
That one, yeah. I didn't know where you were going with that. I didn't expect. Yeah, the family needs a father, and it's Saga. I'm glad you chose the father, not daddy route.
I wasn't even thinking of that.
Yeah.
Until you brought it up.
Family needs a daddy, and it's Saga. Like I'm glad
I didn't do that either, but I'm not glad that you did that.
Shane just staring menacingly in the corner.
You want to get to the defense?
Yeah, we can get to the defense. I do want to get to Clint's comment real quick. I've always enjoyed seeing pictures hung on the wall. Feels like home. That's what we do. We bring
this is home.
A little slice of home to you.
PHNX Sun Devils is your home. Keep running.
Yeah, it's your home.
Don't stop.
And we're the parents. Is that
we're the daddies.
Getting to the defensive side of the ball, let's start with the man that came from Washington State with Bryan Ward, and that is linebacker coach A.J. Cooper. I feel like A.J. Cooper, especially this past offseason, hasn't had to do like too much in terms of like transfer portal because they did such a really good job that first go round getting guys like Aziris Fiaseu, a Keyshawn Elliott, a Jordan Crook, and getting some of the younger guys as well, like in the recruiting classes, like a Martell Hughes. This position group has been, I think, outside of the DBs, the most stable position group since this specific position coach got on campus. Yeah. I think it has been a very clear and consistent like way of doing things. And AJ Cooper, like this position is the definition of reloading, not rebuilding. Like if every time they lose somebody, it's like, okay, we know exactly who's going to step up, who's going to fill that spot when they leave.
I mean, it happened in season.
Yeah. And I think you bring up some of those guys like Caleb McCullough and what he was able to accomplish at ASU.
I mean, that's like, you got to give Caleb McCullough credit. Right?
Absolutely.
For sure.
It's with a lot of the players that we're talking about.
For sure. You have to give him credit. At the end of the day, he's the player. He went out there and he performed. That's coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching is having your guy ready to where you're playing. It was Utah, right?
Yeah.
First half of the Utah game.
Yeah, where he had like 2 picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, because the targeting was called in the or was it called the game before?
No,
and
it was in the
missed
first half.
So the targeting is in the first half. So you're not even going into that game expecting to play as much as you did. Targeting happens in the or did they? No, the targeting happened the game before in the second half, and they were. Either way, who cares?
Keyshawn Elliott he wasn't supposed to play in a half of football because of a target.
Clayton Smith also joined that as well. Yes. Obviously, different position, but Caleb McCullough steps in, and he's boom, impact, picks, like ready for the moment, ready to play. Like that's coaching.
Yeah.
Right? Like that at its core is maintaining a relationship with the player, maintaining a standard with a player, and having them ready to fulfill starting level expectations as a non-starting level player. That's coaching.
Yeah.
That's AJ Cooper. That's Bryan Ward. Right? Like that goes to show, and maybe was the best example last year of how deep this coaching staff could run as far as like getting their guys prepared week in and week out.
Glenn brings up a solid point, made McCullough look like he's been starting all year long. Backups don't look like backups.
And again, Caleb McCullough deserves a huge, maybe line share amount of the credit for that.
Yeah.
But we've seen talented backups and talented depth pieces check into games in any sport on any level, and they're just not ready for that moment.
I think going back to last offseason I'm going to take full rescibility and full credit. Credit here.
Well, you made it sound like you're taking responsibility for a bad thing.
No. I feel like I was the only one that had this take that the linebackers were going to be a really, really solid group, like one of the best groups on this team. There were a ton of people, and rightfully so, wanted to say that it was going to be the running backs or the wide receivers or the tight ends, whatever. Like, you could see it while we were out there at practices that like these linebackers really were bought into what AJ Cooper was bringing them along with. They loved the system. They were all guys that had like elite level success at their respective school in a specific way, right? Like I think Jordan Crook, yes, he didn't play a ton of linebacker snaps at Arkansas, but he was a really solid special teamer. And now you go into this season and Jordan Crook looks like he has been far and away the most improved player on this defense, right?
Yeah.
At the very least in the linebacker spot. And you bring back Keyshawn. Aziris Fiaseu had a pick 6 on the first defensive drive of the season last year.
He's a name that is not, I don't think, getting talked about enough.
The linebackers from literally the very first series last year dominated.
Yeah.
And they just, the entire season, whether it was Aziris or a Keyshawn or a Crook or a McCullough or a Martell Hughes, like they all had at least one game that you could point to and they're like, damn, that person, they made a massive impact on the outcome of this game.
And collectively as a unit, when you look at the defensive line or you look at the secondary, if you don't have strong linebackers in there as well, like all those other position groups are going to get exposed.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I think that's a natural way to start talking about Bryan Carrington and the DBs, because maybe the strongest position room as far as talent goes, on this defense.
Yeah.
Because that DB room is stacked.
It is.
Stacked.
And again,
and well coached and good guys. Like, and they play well together. Again, a testament to coaching.
This isn't somebody in Bryan Carrington too that I feel like has had like when he first got to ASU, so much of like the conversation around Carrington was recruiter, and Kenny made a really big point of emphasis that he didn't like that phrase. He didn't like the phrase of like, this guy's a recruiter. No, they're all coaches. We all have to be recruiters, right? That's part of the job.
It's synonymous.
And I think there were some folks that were hesitant to that of like, he's just a recruiter, right? He goes and gets guys, and that's his job. But go look at the corners. Look at how they've developed, right? Keith Abney, again, a part of that first recruiting class under Kenny Dillingham. Look where he's at now, right? DB1 on this team, like they put him out on an island, and he does what he does. And you need a DB2. Who do you go get? You go get Javen Robinson, familiar with the system, Washington State, whatever. And it's a beautiful fit. Right.
I mean, big time plays. I mean, a good overall consistent player, but some of the biggest plays in one of Arizona State's best seasons of all time.
100%. And you look at the corners now, right? Like I'm very interested to see, and I brought this up a couple days ago, of just like, okay, what does the depth behind Keith and Javen look like, right? Because the safeties and the nickel corners, they work with Bryan Ward in the safeties. Like they work as safeties, right? So like, what is a Rodney Bimage going to look like?
Who's been in the system?
What is a guy like a Nyland Green going to look like as a transfer? Right?
He was the 5-star one, right?
He was the 5-star, Georgia to Purdue to ASU. Like, what do some of these guys look like? And I think, again, like this is somebody that only continues to raise the ceiling and the expectations of his room every single offseason, every single practice. And I don't know if you could say that about every single like cornerback room in the country, but you can sure as hell say that about Bryan Carrington. First and foremost, man, like I love all these coaches out here. Bryan Carrington is easily he's got the best drip of any college football coach in the country.
Clip it.
It's not even close. It's not even close.
Who's second?
Ooh. Tune in next time.
Wow.
What
a tease.
Yeah. No, every time there's a new DB, I'm always like, how do you feel that you got like your position coach has got the best drip of like anybody in the country? And it's the truth, and he's a damn good coach, man. He really is. But that's something
the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, we've said that about all of these coaches.
There's not a bad coach on this roster.
No, there isn't. Not in year 3 under Kenny Dillingham. And one of the most prominent coaches that we'll wrap up here with is Deron Reynolds, coaching the defensive line. I mean, somebody that has been just from the jump at ASU focused on making a difference at that specific position, right? And you talked earlier about Coach Saga on the offensive line and the impact against Texas, like, and how maybe, looking forward, that's something that it's like, okay, where you need to grow. Let's talk about that D-line, right? Because that D-line was pretty damn dominant against Texas, especially in the second half, right? You remove that 14-point jump that Texas had from the start of that game because
Arizona State's playing Ohio State.
Played, right? Like this defense played really, really good against one of the best offensive lines in college football, and not enough people talk about the defensive line as a whole. CJ Fight, Jacob Kongaika, Zach Swanson, Justin Watley. These aren't 5-star defensive linemen that you got eating gumbo in Georgia, right? Or Louisiana. That's not like the build
sure they have gumbo
of some of these guys,
Georgia.
Right? It's just they're not, right? They're not like the top 10 DTs in the country.
Yeah.
But they sure as hell play like it sometimes. Yeah. And that's, again, partly because Deron Reynolds does what he does.
Yeah, you gotta be able to connect everybody, and it's so funny when CJ's like, I black out when the ball is snapped. Probably part of the reason why he doesn't have to think as much is because he's so well coached and he trusts the guys next to him that they're also well coached, that you don't have to think about it as much. You just go and you do your job.
Yeah.
Right. And in Clayton Smith telling us that, like, my job is to get to the quarterback. Well, that's kind of this big X factor for this defense is getting to the quarterback and taking down the quarterback, right? Like there's a clear objective for his position group to work on. Right. I think when we were doing wild cards, you asked me who's a coach, like who's the biggest wild card coach, and I picked Deron Reynolds and his position group. Like that to me, his position group and their growth and their elevation is the biggest hinging point for this defense taking a big step next year. Not just being as good, but being better. A lot of that is on Deron Reynolds and the players that he coaches.
Wow, so much emphasis. You
I
knocked something
knocked
off
my
the
sunglasses
table.
off the table.
It's crazy, man.
I think that was just Shane. I think Shane knocked him over.
Well, look,
Shane doesn't like my
we're
sunglasses.
going to get to see all these assistant coaches and coordinators when fall camp does start again. Time is ticking. We're getting closer by the minute to fall camp for Arizona State. But that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devil Show. Again, hit that like button, the subscribe button on your way out, a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And if you enjoyed today's content, you can follow the show at PHNX_Sun Devils on social. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the Glazed Donut here at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Dief. And we will see you guys on Wednesday. But in the meantime, go Devils and peace.
Keep running.
We all silly like the mayor.